board members, we have a fit and proper criteria for board members as well as the chief executive, which we are saying the proposal is that the government and the nominating appointing authorities should apply the fit and proper criteria before nominating the board members. We have also included the provision of board's evaluation on an annual basis, so that there is a performance evaluation of boards, annual evaluation of the board's performance, and chairman will have the leadership role in the process. Policy formulation and oversight will be the responsibility of the board, not the approval of individual transactions unless they are of an extraordinary nature or involve materially large amounts. So we have also defined that it is not the job of the board members of the board to get into the operations. Sometimes the board members get into very small things. So they should be in the area of, we have defined the strategy, oversight, holding the management accountable. That is the role of the board. Then the separation of the chairman and the CEO. It's a very critical requirement. And chairman has to be from the independent directors, not from the government. Responsibilities of the chairman and responsibilities of the chief executive have been defined. Responsibility of the chairman, as you know, as we understand, is to run the board. Leadership of the board and ensuring its efficient and effective working, setting its agenda, etc. And he should not be involved in day-to-day operations. Whereas the responsibility of the chief executive is to run the company under the oversight of the board, implement the strategies and policies approved by the board, etc. Then directors are required to act in the best interest of the company. This is emphasized, and I think it needs to be further elaborated perhaps when we further fine-tune it. Because what I have seen, one of the tendency is that, and this is not just confined to the public sector boards, sometimes, rather most of the times, the people who are nominated by different organizations, they are there to protect the interests of those organizations, which is not what the good corporate governance is all about. According to the law, and this is what we have incorporated in the code, once you are appointed or elected as a board member, then your primary responsibility is to work in the interest of that company and not in the interest of nominating organizations. And this I learned when I became member of the ICAP board. The first day they take an undertaking, I was nominated by ICAP. So what happens is that IFAC, being a representative body of 2.5 million accountants throughout the world, most of the members are nominated by member bodies like ICAP, ICMAP, and throughout the world. So they take an undertaking on the very first day that now that you are a member, you give an undertaking that you will be working in the interest of IFAC and not in the interest of ICAP, your nominating organizations. So you have to wear a different cap. I have seen, I think we have all seen that in the case of stock exchange, for instance, the nominee directors, directors nominated by SECP, and then half of the directors are nominated or elected by the brokers, members. They keep on fighting because half of the directors think that they have to protect the interests of SECP, half of the directors think that they have to protect the interests of the members. So there is a serious conflict. They have to work in the interest of the company, and if you are working in the interest of the organization, you are automatically working in the legitimate interest of your nominating organization. So this is very important because this affects the public sector entities, the people who come from nominated by the ministries. They are always thinking in that mindset. We have focused or emphasized that the directors have fiduciary responsibilities. Again, one of the issues in the public sector is that, for instance, there are certain ex officio directors. And when you have ex officio director, a joint secretary of Ministry of Commerce on the board of NICL, as soon as the joint secretary is changed, the new joint secretary automatically becomes the board member. Is that legal? No. The company's ordinance, most of these companies are companies. Once you are elected, and you have to be elected in an annual general meeting, you hold office for a period of 3 years. So, with the result, with frequent transfers in the government, people keep changing. And there is no permanent board also. I mean, there's no tenure of the board members also. And also sometimes the board members are changed at the whims of the appointing authorities, the secretary or the minister. So we are proposing that there should be a clear, no ambiguity about this thing, that first of all, board members have fiduciary responsibility, and once you are appointed, you hold office. You have fiduciary responsibility. There's no concept of, even if there is ex officio, he has to be appointed according to the provisions of the company's ordinance, and unless formally changed in accordance with the law, the appointed person will continue. And this arbitrary removal also is being discouraged, that once appointed, the board members will continue for a period of 3 years. So no arbitrary removal, so that there is tenure for the board members, and the changes should take place based on their evaluation, their performance evaluation. And that's why there is a system of performance evaluation. A lot of focus on code of conduct, the number of provisions that require that the companies will have code of conduct, which will be on their website, and all directors, executives, employees, will comply with those. Because public sector, are public interest entities, there has to be higher accountability in terms of the standards of behavior. And these are some of the significant differences with the Code of Corporate Governance of listed companies. Again, number of requirements on conflict of interest. Directors and executives do not allow conflict of interest to undermine their objectivity, and they do not use their position to further their personal interest. Where actual or potential conflict of interest exists, there should be appropriate identification, disclosure, and management of such conflict. There is also a requirement, because there is so much perception about corruption in the public sector, there is the requirement that there would be, and this is now coming, this is an international best practice, that there should be an anti-corruption policy, a very elaborate anti-corruption policy that should be fully implemented and should be public document on the website. Comprehensive requirements are there on the related party transactions, very similar to the requirements given in the listed companies code. And this is, again, I think one of the key requirements is that the board shall exercise its power of appointment, development, succession of the chief executive officer using fit and proper criteria, and other members of senior management. Again, this is a problem that while board is empowered under the law, under the company's ordinance, but we know that mostly the CEO is appointed by either the minister or the department or the prime minister. So if the board cannot appoint the CEO, how can you hold the board CEO, how can the board then monitor its performance and hold him accountable? So it's very critical that the CEO has to be appointed by the board. The board should be appointed by the government or the shareholders, but the appointment of CEO must be done by the board so that he is accountable to the board.